go to Rise and Whine, where I get to vent about something happening in sports that's bothering me. It's my favorite part of the show. This week, we're going to talk about Matt Rhule inside the frame of the college coaching search, which is becoming a shit show. Florida, Arkansas, Penn State, the list is going to keep growing. Florida State is going to decide, I think, to keep Mike Norvell at least for this year. But those three schools that I just mentioned are all in the market for a head coach. Penn State this week was all the buzz because Matt Rhule was the guy they were going to hire. That's what I keep hearing. Matt Rhule. He's best friends with the AD. He's a Penn State guy. He's the safe choice. Blah, blah, blah. And then he goes out and loses to Minnesota as a touchdown favorite. Great showing, Matt. I don't know who Penn State is going to hire. At this point, I don't care because it's not going to be Curt Cignetti. And that was really the only guy I thought that Penn State could hire that would elevate the program immediately. I think Matt Rhule is a lateral move. Lane Kiffin would be interesting. I just don't know if he's going to leave Oxford. Maybe if they fall off the table, maybe if Ole Miss drops a couple more games, maybe. But it kind of seems like it's Matt Rhule, maybe Eli Drinkwitz. I actually do like Drink. It would be kind of funny if Drinkwitz brought Pabula back with him to Penn State, and all of a sudden we get like a reunion of sorts. But all I've heard is Matt Rhule. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Lateral move. Complete lateral move. Even if he brings Dylan Raiola with him. Now, the one thing I need to focus on, and I'm going to ask all of you to focus on as well, we need to forget everything we think we know about the college football coaching carousel. Forget it. Throw it out the window. We are in a new era of college sports. I don't know how it's going to shake out for Penn State, but I do know right now college football is the love child of ballers and billions. It's just all about the money. It's all about the swag. It's all about what have you done for me lately and how are you going to help me. It is the most transactional relationship we have seen in college sports ever. It's never been this transactional. In the end, it was obvious that James Franklin's only crime was a severe case of TSS, tight sphincter syndrome. We've now started to get some autopsy reports from what went down behind the scenes at Penn State. The vibe around the program this year was tight. The pressure got to them. So now you're going to go out and hire a coach who hasn't won a ranked game in how long? Who just went out and lost as a 7-point favorite against Minnesota? That's the coach you want to hire to replace James Franklin, who couldn't win the big game and who lost too many times when he was supposed to win, most notably the last 2 weeks against Northwestern and UCLA. Doesn't pass the sniff test to me, Pat Kraft. I would look elsewhere. I would not bring Matt Rhule to Penn State. And here's how you know that your team is making the right or the wrong hire. Ask the fan base of the team that is losing that head coach and get their reactions. For example, go ask a Nebraska fan this week if you want Penn State to hire Matt Rhule. They all would say, yes, please, take him. In fact, someone slid into my mentions the other day and said, as a Nebraska fan, please hire Matt Rhule. That's how you know. Let's go with the flip side of that. Ask an Indiana fan if you would be happy or sad if Penn State hired Curt Cignetti. They would all say this is the worst day ever. Worst thing that's ever happened to the program. That's how you know if your team is hiring the right head coach. It reminds me of in football, on a 4th down, if the team decides to go for it or punt. The way you know it was the right decision, you ask the fans of the opposing team if they are happy that this team is going for it on 4th down. If the answer is no, it's the right decision. If that team decides to punt on 4th down and the opposing fans are like, yes, thank God, then you know it was the wrong decision to punt. It is a very easy human psychology experiment to determine if you are hiring the right man for the job. Go ask Nebraska fans this week how they would feel if Penn State hired Matt Rhule. I bet the majority, if not all of them, would say good riddance to bad rubbish. That's how Pat Kraft knows that Matt Rhule is not the right man for the Penn State job. But it's out of my control. I have no idea who they hire. Jason Cooper says, Manny Diaz offshore. Good bet. Again, go ask Duke fans after Duke laid an egg against Georgia Tech this week how they would feel if Penn State hired Manny Diaz to be the head coach. I bet a lot of Duke fans would be like, cha-ching! Get rid of this guy. Now, not as many Duke fans than Nebraska. Duke and Nebraska are two different programs, right? Nebraska's got much higher expectations than Duke, so it probably wouldn't be as high of a percentage. But I'd be willing to bet that 100% of Nebraska fans this week would be thrilled if Penn State hired Matt Rhule. That is how you know he's not the right guy for the job. I don't really know who is, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's why I am not going to be as critical of the hire if and when it happens, because the only guy that I really thought would elevate the program is Curt Cignetti. And he cashed in on the firing of James Franklin by adding a few zeros to his checking account. Good for him. Boss move to leverage that firing into a raise. So did Lane Kiffin. Yeah, I don't know who Penn State's going to hire, but it sure as hell shouldn't be Matt Rhule. At least I hope it's not.